Balitang Express!
Ginisa na malupitan si Sec.Doque ni Senador Pangilinan. Alamin ang buong detalye sa video ito.
We have that information.
I think the CAD would have this information.
No, but shouldn't you have that information?
Oh, sure. When it comes to the citizens that have disembarked, we already subject them to the quarantine measures. So we get their yellow
Can you
card.
submit to this committee the number of flights from the coronavirus affected? I hope that these 31 don't end up having the virus too. I hope they turn out to be negative. But we have to prepare for the worst case scenario. What if these 30 all have the virus? So let us prepare for the worst. How many of these 80 came from Wuhan?
Can I just ask my for the detail? Ilan na?
Shouldn't that be basic information? That the 80, 20, or 10, or 5 came from Wuhan, similar to the...
Tracking, but I just want to, because it's very fluid yung kasi araw-araw may na dadagdagan.
But can we have the number? How
Yeah,
many came from Wuhan?
He's looking at it now as of
And the follow-up to that while they're looking is, what flights did they fly in from? Did they take? Is there also an effort? Assuming, I don't know, I don't have the answer, so you can. Was there an effort also to trace the passengers in that flight? If there are others from Wuhan who are included in this 80 under investigation.
Your Honor, they're guided by the flight manifesto, and I was told that they do have the flight manifesto. But the first answer to your question, how many from Wuhan, that's a very important question. I'm just getting the data.
It's a very important question which we would have expected by now that the Secretary of Health would know.
Forgive me, Your Honor, because of the enormity of the multiple operating systems that we need to put in place to mount, again, a more effective response. My apologies, Your Honor. My people are getting very nervous, Your Honor.
So they don't know.
But they know, meron naman, sir. Kaya nagkakamali sila ng pindot.
Uh,
We'll get back to you with my assurance.
Yes, but this really is a bit, this is quite disturbing that the Secretary of Health is not familiar with how many of these 80 persons under investigation actually came from Wuhan. That's basic.
Your Honor,
How do we stay on top of the situation when the fundamental information or basic information is not even in our fingertips?
yes, Your Honor, but we,
What if the number is 80?
No, sir, because we have Germans, we have
Okay, precisely, but we
Americans,
don't know.
Filipinos, yeah.
Okay,
No,
well-
we have. We will give you the list.
No, you don't know. I'm
No.
sorry, Mr. Secretary, but you don't know the answer.
Because every day it changes. We have a tracking mechanism. It changes every day because, especially because...
How can it change every day that he came from Wuhan? He came from Wuhan, that won't change.
But the two with positive nCoV results, dalawa lang sila. Dalawa lang po sila.
So far, that's why we are monitoring the persons under investigation. So anyway, we would like to have that information submitted to the committee.
We will do
We
that.
would like to know, and I think the public deserves to know, how many of those 80 came from, would be similarly situated as the other two, who ended up being positive for the virus, so that we know exactly the extent. And I don't know if other members of the cabinet or the interagency are aware of this, because they should be aware of this too.
Ilan?
If the Secretary of Health is not aware of it, what about the other secretaries who are tasked to address the problem?
1 out of 80, Your Honor.
Are from Wuhan.
Yes, Your Honor. Let me also just add, Your Honor, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, that we have already expanded the from Wuhan to the entire China.
Yes. And
So,
so the next question, which I raised earlier, is of these 31, have we also tried to contract? Did they come by airplane? Did they arrive here? What aircraft? Do we have these details? 31 came from Wuhan. How did they arrive? By aircraft? Which aircraft? When did they arrive? Do we have that information?
I believe we have that information, but the details is something that we need to generate and put it in a report that we would like to submit to the committee, Your Honor.
And we would like to know if they came from aling airlines, alam ba ng publiko, sino yung mga sumakay dyan?
Meron na pong pahayag ang PAL and Cebu PAC as to the flight number. That's why they were able to farm out this
So this is
information.
the flight number of the 2, but the 31. The 31 under investigation who came from Wuhan, when did they arrive? Did they arrive by aircraft? What aircraft? Who were the passengers? Shouldn't this be part of the effort to be able to trace?
The Bureau of Quarantine has this information because as soon as the passengers
Yes, because the only information that we have received so far is for the 2 aircraft, Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific. Perhaps because they're still under investigation, therefore you don't need to, I don't know what your protocols are, but at the minimum, you must know what the aircraft, and you may not have to publicly announce it, but the committee would be interested to have a copy of these aircrafts, these airlines, when did they arrive, to give us a better sense of what we're facing. And I hope that these 31 don't end up having the virus too. I hope they turn out to be negative. But we have to prepare for the worst case scenario. What if these 30 all have the virus?
We'll take care of that.
Then we have to, but that's moving ahead of the situation. So let us prepare for the worst, Secretary.
Yes. Thank you for the reminder. I was told that most of these Wuhan residents have already gone back to China.
So, but they are under investigation.
Only some. We have one in San Lazaro who was tested positive.
So-
we could not release her until the test yields a negative result.
Okay. So these 31, the 80 persons under investigation are no longer 80. It's less than 80.
The 80 patients under investigation, Your Honor, positive cases 2, negative cases 30, which means umalis na. Less 30 and pending results 48, over 80.
Okay, so in other words, how many are still here?
This is 48 with pending results.
40.
48, Your Honor.
Okay, so we don't have to announce the information, but we would like to get this information of those 48 who are still here.
Certainly, Your Honor.
You said 31 came from Wuhan, and they're still here. I mean, some of them might still be here,
Yeah.
and some may have left.
We'll give you the details of this, Your Honor.
Okay. So if they turned out asymptomatic, the chances are they are not as nakakahawa or infectious. Tama ba yun?
O walang sakit. Hindi sila tinamaan o kung may iba like this particular
Pero,
case, pwedeng cough and cold, gano'n lang.
But the chances are they too can infect others. There is a possibility.
Yeah, there's a small
Okay.
chance.
So with that, then therefore the Department of Health, the 31 who came from Wuhan, may I suggest you gather as much information you have about them. Where did they go? What did they do? Where did they stay, etc. So that we also have a sense in the event, and we are able to monitor, right? I mean, we want to stay on top of the situation. I know it's impossible to be able to address all, but we're talking of percentages here. If we can address a significant amount, and we're also significantly helping contain the disease. The other question is, do you have records of how many flights from Hong Kong, from Shanghai, from Beijing, entered the Philippines in the last 2 weeks? Do we have that information?
I think the CAB would have that information.
No, but shouldn't you have that information?
Oh, sure. When it comes to the citizens that have disembarked, we already subject them to the quarantine measures. So we get their yellow
Can you
card.
submit to this committee the number of flights from the coronavirus affected cities and countries
Will do, Your
that
Honor.
came in the last 2 weeks, particularly, of course, in the epicenter, the ground zero, so that we have a better sense also of exactly how exposed we became. Anyway, I want to know if there were 1,000 flights that came in the last 2 days. I mean, last 2 weeks. I'm not saying it's 1,000, pero kung 1,000 yung dumating, times 200, di ba? Ganun karami ang pumasok, labas, this also gives us a better sense kung ano yung volume at ano yung dapat natin gawin.
With Your Honor.
Viable Diseases and Health Events of Public Health Concern Act. It's a very long. Provides that the Secretary of Health can make a declaration of epidemic or public health emergency. With the World Health Organization already saying there is a international concern, will we follow? Will we also declare a public health emergency in the country? What is your take on this? Because the law says, Section 7, the Secretary of Health shall have the authority to declare epidemics of national and or international concerns.
Your Honor, since a very difficult question, Your Honor, admittedly, but since we still don't have a local case of this particular coronavirus, we have to look at the parameters for the declaration of the public health emergency, but we're nimble to making that declaration as soon as the parameters are there. And right now, we have no local transmission of the novel coronavirus. Both of them are imported cases, Your Honor.
So we at least that is on the table as an option for us to better, well, address this health concern as it develops. Hopefully, as the WHO representative said earlier, some experts are saying this might reach its peak in the next week or so, and may or may not, we don't know, may dissipate. If that's the case, then the emergency may not be necessary, but that is still an available option.
Certainly, Your Honor. We will take that option with the guidance of the WHO.
And especially since the World Health Organization has already declared a public health emergency of international concern.
In fact, Your Honor, despite the WHO's declaration of a global health emergency, they did not recommend trade and travel restrictions. But be that as it may, the DOH and the task force had recommended very strongly to the President that we ban travelers and persons coming from China and its SAR.
Finally, meron bang emergency hotline ng DOH?
No, it's 711-001 and 711-002.
May I suggest na you man them 24 hours and get
Yes.
maraming may mga agam-agam, kinakailangan lang may makausap at mabigyan ng tamang abiso tungkol sa bagay na ito. And siyempre lahat sisipunin, hindi naman lahat, maraming sisipunin, maraming gaganin. Dapat merong emergency hotline at makakasagot kaagad ang Department of Health para yung kaba ng ating mga kababayan ay meron silang pupuntahan, meron silang pwedeng matanong Pagka ganun lang, makakatanong sila, mababawasan itong takot at agam-agam.
In corollary to that, the DOH Health Emergency Management Bureau's operation center is 24 hours operational.
Thank you, Secretary Duque and Senator Pangilinan. One more question from Senator Recto. We have to wrap.
Yes, thank you very
In a
much.
few
Mr.
minutes.
Chairman. I will be very quick, Mr. I'm sure that many have been discussed already here on the issues. Just for some information, Mr. Secretary, is it correct that roughly 20,000 have been confirmed to have the coronavirus nationwide, globally? Roughly about 20,000.
Close, Your Honor, but it's 20,400,
Okay.
Your Honor, as of today.
And is it correct to say that 99% are in China?
That's true.
99%.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for that. Second issue is that, and how many have died?
425.
And 99% of them are also in China.
Only, well, two now, because there's one in Japan, accordingly.
One in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong and Philippines.
In the Philippines.
Yes.
Okay?
So that should be safe to assume that 1% is.
Okay, so roughly 99
outside.
point plus is in China. Okay, now. And how many are severely or are sick severely from this virus?
About 2,800, roughly, that's about less than 10%, about 10-12%.
About 14%.
Yes, roughly.
So 14% malubha ang sakit. Okay? Doon sa malubhang sakit, because it would appear that those who have it, only 2.4% will die. But if you look at it from yung malubhang sakit, the numbers are higher. Is that correct? So ibig sabihin ba yung may malubhang sakit, 2,800, are they in the ICU? Would you say?
Some of them I should like to believe, but they must be in isolation rooms
Yes.
with ICU capacity.
Correct. Okay, so, therefore, 15% na nahawa nito, roughly, based on the statistics of China, malubha ang sakit nasa ICU. Okay? And roughly, what? How many percent? 400 yung namatay. So about 20%? 15% of those na may malubhang sakit ang mamamatay.
So 424,000, that's about 20%.
Okay. Now,
20%.
for the WHO, the
15%.
Okay. So mataas din yung mortality rate. Okay?
Among the serious cases.
Correct. Okay. Now, because it would appear that only 2.4% ang mortality rate.
Oh, it's down to 2%, 1/3 lower than
Yeah,
it used
based
to be
on
last year.
those who have the virus. Now, all that data is 99% based in China. Is that correct? Okay. Now, and it would show the ability of China to respond to the crisis. Would you say that would be correct? Now, for example, if in Hong Kong, there are how many cases in Hong Kong? 15, roughly, confirmed? And one died. Would you say that the mortality rate is 6% then in Hong Kong as of the moment?
6%, one of
15.
15.
So more or less 6%. Of course, the numbers are too small yet, no? But that would be the current mortality rate in Hong Kong, 1 in 15. And that will show their ability to respond to the crisis. In the Philippines, how many have been confirmed?
We have two.
Two.
Yes, Your Honor.
And how many have died?
One died.
And based on
Saturday.
current statistic, alam ko maliit na numero yan. Dalawa lang. But wouldn't that be a 50% mortality rate?
It's a 50% mortality rate, but since you have two
Correct.
imported cases, both.
Understood. Okay. Therefore, this mortality rate would depend on the ability of the country to treat those patients. Okay? And in the Philippines, if we have had two already, considering how close we are and how many in the last few months, flights from China coming over here, and we know it's 99% there. Why did it take us too long to ban those flights coming into the Philippines?
With the permission of the chairman, can we have the slide to show the relative dates of when the other countries, as well as the Philippines, impose a ban? Some countries kasi, restriction lang, and only Hubei province. So, iba-ibang response.
Oh, yeah. I understand that.
Ang Philippines, together with South Korea, Japan, US.
So let me just move on to the next. No? Meron na bang cost to treat the patients? How much does it cost to treat a patient?
We haven't done the costing, but we can do that given that we have one patient. We might be able to establish the cost to care, to treat that patient.
And then last question, Mr. Secretary. You mentioned that there are 80 persons under investigation earlier.
There are patients under investigation,
Yes.
Your Honor.
And those patients under investigation, did they come to our hospitals? Sila mismo ang pumunta sa atin.
They're all admitted in the hospitals.
Yes, we need to
But
say
the
we did
manner-
not seek them out, no? They went to our hospitals. May sakit sila, pumunta sa atin.
They underwent screening, and some
Yes.
went there on their own because
Correct.
they knew, they were advised that
Correct.
if you were sick, you have to go to the hospital.
Correct.
But others, they were guided to the
Correct.
hospitals.
And when they went to our hospitals, were our hospitals already prepared for them?
Oh, yes, of course, Your Honor.
We knew that they were coming?
No, well,
Did we seek them or did they just go to the hospital?
we have a protocol that I can submit how to be guided as to when you're supposed to bring these patients once the symptoms are manifest. And so there are isolation rooms in our hospitals. In fact, early enough, prior to the ban, part of our interventions, other than the strengthening border surveillance, is the
So
capacity.
you would say
for-
today that all our hospitals have these protocols in place?
Yes, that's right, Your Honor.
At yan ang ating balita. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagsubaybay. Ito ang Balitang Express.